Welcome to StockInvest.us podcast. StockInvest.us is a research service that provides financial data and technical analysis of stocks. All users should speak with their financial advisor before buying or selling any securities. Users should not base their investment decision upon StockInvest.us. References to any specific securities do not constitute an offer to buy or sell the securities. By using this information, you agree and are held liable for your own investment decisions. For more information, please visit StockInvest.us.
Hi, and welcome to StockInvest.us podcast for week 21. This is the one podcast that gave you the crypto crash even before it happened, and last week we were spot on when we said that Bitcoin would fall below $35,000. Will it be up or down this week? Well, in short, I will let you know what I think. My name is Jim. I host this podcast every Monday morning before the markets open. And last week we started to publish the podcast on YouTube at YouTube, our channel StockInvest.us. And here you can listen to my podcast even with subtitles. So if it's sometimes hard to understand what I'm saying, well, now you got the opportunity to read the subtitles as well. Last week I gave the title, Will Nasdaq Go Up? And if we look at Nasdaq, well, Nasdaq actually finally had an upturn, up, but only 0.3% last week, ending at 13,471. I gave you the reasons why. There was a lot of oversold indicators, etc., etc. And before that, Nasdaq was down 4 weeks in a row. Dow Jones, however, fell 0.5%, was ending the week at 34,208 points. So what does all of this mean? Will it be a red week ahead of us, or will Nasdaq continue upwards? Nasdaq was starting very good, but then UK inflation numbers came in and took the market on the bed. They were 1.5%, and it was not what the market expected. They expected quite lower. And we saw some very red days, but in general, the market was, as I said, good. And especially for the medium minor stocks, as I told you, I didn't believe Apple and Microsoft would do that very good. I gave Microsoft a target for $245 last week to end the week at $245, and it was actually more or less spot on. I was only 17 cents away from target. Microsoft ended 245.17. Even Apple was more or less straight on target. I said 125. It ended the week at 125.43. But I also told you that I thought the money would go elsewhere, and that actually happened. The portfolio did very well. We'll look into the portfolio a little later. But if we read the news, we can see that, for instance, Bill Gates Trust sold all Apple shares and even all their Twitter shares and reinvested in Coupang. So there is changes going on. We see money flow out of some stocks into other stocks, but in general, we also see that money is flowing out of the stock market. We will look at the actual Nasdaq chart, but before that, we'll just do a few more of the fundamental news. Because as a chartist, I love looking at charts. I think everything is discounted into the price. But it's good to keep an eye on the fundamental news, and one of the news that we want to follow and keep an eye on is, of course, the Treasury Yield. The Treasury Yield measure the expectations of inflations, and it will give you an early sign. The rule is very simple. If the interest rates go up, well, the money will flow into a fixed interest rate, which is secure, and go out of an unsecured stock market. But the 10-year Treasury Yield did not change at all last week, ending at 1.63. So it was more or less totally unchanged. A little strange as UK inflation number came in that high. But the market is still not willing to price in the expectations of inflations. And I think this might be one of these things that will cause a very, very heavy red fall in stock market, because at some point there has to be normalization between these numbers. I think the Treasury yield is way too low right now because of, we can see from the energy prices in the United States, we can see from the lumber prices, we can see the commodities, etc. We know there is chip shortages, there is even food shortages, and everything indicates that the prices will just be pushed up and that the inflation will go above target. So I expect 10-year Treasury yield to start move more upwards. I was hoping that it would move in a slow pace, but I think it's suddenly might start to do some heavy jumps, and these heavy jumps can cause heavy falls in the stock market. I also told you that you should look into these bigger conflicts. I thought Iran would be the first, but it ended up being Israel-Palestine conflict. And the rumors now are that Biden is going to lift or ease up on some of the Iranian sanctions, and I think that might backfire, but we will see. It can be seen as a weak sign. And there is one thing the Middle East cannot handle is weak signs, because then it usually erupts into more conflicts. Oil is, of course, one of these things that is heavily affected by how Middle East are, etc. And oil being totally unchanged, just below $65 all last week. I think it was down at 62, but mainly going between 62 and $65. So it was unchanged as expected. And given the developments, like I said last week, that I believe oil would hold around 60. Before that, I said I thought it would have died down to 45. But I more and more abandon this idea and keep the expectation for oil to be above 60. And as I also said, I believe given the right circumstance, the oil will push all the way up to 100 for a short time. The one thing that you should extract out of this is that with an expectation of high oil price, the oil companies will do good. So it's about investment. Where do you want to put your money? And as I told in my podcast, since more than a year now, that oil is one of the places where I invest, because I believed oil will do good. And it's been doing good, very, very good. And I think it will continue to do so. High oil price causes some effects, for instance, for airline companies, for travel industry, anything that is highly consumptive of oil. But we will not go so much deeper into oil. You can keep an eye on it, but I don't expect very much fluctuation from the oil price in the week ahead of us. Gold, however, is on the way up. I also told you that I expect gold to hit back to the 2000 target. Last week, gold ended at $1,882, being up $30 for the week. And before leaving oil totally, well, now it seems like there might be a civil war heading into Colombia. The government have been deciding to raise the taxes, and that have caused civil unrest, and some of the oil companies have decided just to shut down the production because the danger starts to become too big. So this is yet one of these signs that might cause markets to remain either horizontal or fall. But we will have a quick look at the Nasdaq chart, and if you go to StockInvest.us, the ticker will be XSIC. We can just type Nasdaq in the search field. And if you look at Nasdaq, well, we can say that Nasdaq still is within a slow rising trend in the short-term picture. However, we have something called Golden Cross and the Death Cross. It's the relationship between the long moving average and the short-term moving average. And for a few weeks now, there has been a dead cross in the long-term and the short-term moving average, indicating that the markets will continue downwards. These crosses can last very long or they can last very short. For Nasdaq, it's usually lasting a little bit more than a month. And so far, we are only halfway into this period. It's a buy signal from the short-term moving average, a sell signal from the long-term moving average. The volume is in divergence with the price, which I do not like. This indicates that it will be hard to do some very rapid movements upwards. There is a higher chance that actually that Nasdaq either will go totally sideways or fall. And that is what I expect for the week ahead of us, that Nasdaq will move somewhere between 13,000 and 13,600 points. Question is, how will it end? Well, I got this gut feeling that we will go down towards 13,000, and then things starts to become very scary again, because last time Nasdaq turn was at 13,000. And if it breaks below, the next support will be 12,600, but we already will have these signs that things are changing for the worse. So far, it's been a good chance that we could go back to record levels, but these things are starting to fade. What market really needs is 1 or 2 very, very good weeks being able to push upwards to 14,000, and we can get this one final rally, which I thought would be before we saw a major drawback. But right now, I don't see anything in the charts indicating that this will happen. The best case scenario is a somewhat good week where Nasdaq will move upwards to 13,800. Hopefully that will happen, but my gut feeling tells me that we will again head downwards to the 13,000 level. And especially it might be towards the end of the week. And if we then just dive straight into the bigger stocks, because if we look at the major stocks, that usually gives us an idea about the market as such. Nasdaq is just an index composed of several of the major stocks. And if you look at Apple, you can just put the Apple chart straight on the Nasdaq charts, and they are more or less totally correlated. So we see the same thing for Apple, and last week I was negative. I said that I believed Apple would fall all the way down to 125, so I was spot on. Right now it has a sell signal both from short and long-term moving average, but it just needs a little upturn before it turns that short-term moving average into a buy signal. Volume follows the stock somewhat, but there is a slight, also here it's a slight divergence by the end of the week, and that gives me the idea that we will continue to see more falls. Apple have somewhat good support from the trend lines, and the bottom trend line is $124. If it's broken, you get one of these signs that things really are changing for the worse. And I think that will happen. I think Apple will continue downwards, and I have a target of $120 for Apple over the week. Last time Apple fall, I went in at 120 and went all the way up to 135 before selling again. Right now, I don't see that same buying opportunity. Hopefully, I am wrong. If we move forward to Microsoft, we can see that the Microsoft chart is more or less like the Apple chart. There's a few things I like a little bit more in the Microsoft chart compared to the Apple chart, but in general, they are very the same. Microsoft is about to test the support from the bottom trend line. Will it hold or will it push downwards? Well, there is a sell signals from the long-term moving average, from the short-term moving average, and this also the death cross in Microsoft. But I wouldn't put too much attention onto these death cross now, because they are more worrying if the trend is falling, not so worrying if it's an upturn trend. You should be more worried about these major signals if they are horizontal or downward trends, because then you can really get into more heavily falls. I see some web pages, newspapers starts to refer to these crosses, as they don't appear too often. But again, I will not be too worried. And if you want to really understand this, you should use longer chart periods. But we have to decide what will Microsoft do during this week. I believe Microsoft will move anywhere between 235 and $250. That's where it will move during the week with highs and lows. But I think it will push downwards, and the end of the week, I think that we will see Microsoft down at $235. So again, I am negative towards Microsoft. It will be actually the sixth week in a row where I'm negative to Microsoft, and it's been falling since. Tesla is the one stock I usually miss on. I somewhat correct on the direction of the stock, but I miss on the targets. And last week I said I believe Tesla would end at 680, that it would have this final push upwards, but the markets were not there. It didn't become as green as I expected because of, among other things, the inflation rate from UK. But there is many good signals in Tesla, and everything indicates that Tesla should push upwards to the 660 level, maybe even higher. I will reduce my target a little bit. Tesla has buy signal from the short-term moving average. There's a sell signal from the long-term moving average. But interestingly, it found a double bottom, indicating that the Tesla over the next 2 months should rise actually all the way up to 900 something. I'm not sure that will happen. So we will keep a much lower target, but everything indicates that Tesla will continue upwards. You should be worried if Tesla falls below 560. That's the one level, because below 560 it should fall to 450 and even longer. I see lots and lots of analysts trying to speculate how Tesla will do, and some say it will fall maybe as much as 70% very shortly. Some say that it will go up. I know that the algorithms, software using artificial intelligence, think Tesla is a good buy now. Even our system, which is based on computer algorithms, thinks Tesla will go up in the short term. Relative strength index is very low. Tesla is one of these stocks which can go very long if it's overbought, and seemingly also very long oversold. But usually the natural cause take place, and we see either a correction up or down depending if it's oversold or overbought. Right now it's very low on the relative strength index, and everything indicates that it will push upwards. Target for Tesla this week will be 620, so I remain positive to Tesla and think it's a good place to be, compared for sure against many other stocks. But keep an eye on these 560 levels, and remember that Tesla is a very volatile stock, so it's easy to lose a lot of money. At the same time, you can gain a lot. The last big stock that we analyze before we do crypto is Amazon. And Amazon is one of these stocks where I'm usually spot on. But last week I was $100 off. I expected Amazon to end the week somewhere around 3,100, but it ended at 3,204. So it didn't fall as much as I expected. However, we see a huge divergence in price volume, meaning that the price is going down, the volume is going up, and everything indicates that also Amazon will continue to push downwards. Sell signals from short-term moving average, long-term moving average has the same sell signals from the relation between the long and the short, referred to as cross, either buy or sell cross, or death or golden cross, depends what terms you want to use. So everything indicates that also Amazon will have a difficult week. But again, all of the stocks I mentioned, they are within a rising trend. So there is also this same chance that it will flip up and remain within the trend. Usually I like to say that let the trend be your friend, because it usually holds. But I really do not like this divergence. That is the one thing that is a pre-indicator of things being broken. If these trends, if I'm correct that all these trends are broken down, we have a huge change in scenario. But we will see. You can keep an eye on it. The target for Amazon this week is 3,100, has lots of resistance at 3,300, 3,400, and 3,500. There's nothing in this chart indicating that the stock will get back to all-time high anytime soon. So if we sum up the stock market's expectations to Nasdaq, for instance, well, we can see that all the charts are in the bottom of the trend. That's usually a place where things turn up, but there is also a lot of different signs saying that it might be the time where it's broken, and especially this divergence. So that again leads me to believe that Nasdaq will struggle this week, and I think it will be a green start heading into a worse territory by the end of the week. And that brings us to crypto market. As I said, I was spot on the crypto market for the last 2 weeks in terms of direction. So the question is, what will happen now? And if we look at technical analysis, you can do that by going to our webpage. It's still StockInvest.us. Type in BTC USD for Bitcoin, or you can even type Bitcoin and it will give you the chart. What worries me the most is the lack of support. Bitcoin rose very fast from 20 all the way up to 50, 60, and even 65,000. And now we see the backside of that because there is really no good support from accumulated volume on the levels below. If we look above, we know that lots of people bought from 45 to 65,000, and this will now be heavy resistance level. So usually you have to look for different signs. How likely it will break up. Well, I read in the news, I think it was either today or yesterday, I don't remember exactly, but like China last week said they would ban Bitcoin, caused that huge fall, and then they said they will look into creating one crypto themselves, which is trustworthy, and that can put the trust back to the crypto market. But there is a sell signal from the short-term moving average. There is a sell signal from the long-term moving average. The correlation between of them have given that same death star, indicating that we should go further down. And the trend of Bitcoin is not the best I have seen. It's slightly falling, between falling and horizontal, you can say, in the short-term picture. And that is the one combination where you get that death star and the trend is a little bit weak when things can go very bad. Like I said last week, I have to just make up my mind, where will it be? I can see from the chart that Bitcoin is oversold on the relative strength index. Usually that means that we will have a correction up. Bitcoin moves very fast. Will that correction just be for the first few parts of the day? Well, I told my daughter yesterday, buy some crypto on the dip. But I also told her that we should sell once that obvious dip is over. And that, I'm not sure, will it be this evening? Will it be tomorrow? My guess is that it will be somewhere tomorrow. And then crypto again will have a new fall. And if you listen carefully to what I've been saying over these last 10-15 minutes, well, I also believe that the stock market will struggle by the end of the week. So if these things goes together, we will see crypto falling even more. At the same time, it is this chance for crypto to go up. We know that happens very well. It just needs a little push, and it will be back to the $50,000 level in no time for Bitcoin. But I don't manage to see this. I see this extreme resistance at 45. So I believe that we can see Bitcoin move upwards to 45 intraday, could even be close day. then take a huge fall. And I think that fall who will follow will be very hard. So before starting this podcast today, I was checking a little bit to be a little bit prepared, and I was trying to make up my mind what will happen. Will the oversold hold? Will Bitcoin push upwards and be a great week, or will it have this very scary week? I'm very certain that we will have that we will see Bitcoin push upwards to the 40,000 level, maybe as high as 45,000, but will it be over the week as such that it managed to establish above 40,000 and move sideways during the week, or will it have this huge fall? I'm very certain if that we speak together in 2 weeks, we will see Bitcoin below today's level. So for 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure that we will see Bitcoin go even maybe as low as 20,000 points. But again, like last week, I just have to make up my mind. Where is Bitcoin heading this week? So we will just make a qualified guess. I guess it will push upwards to 40,000 for today, for tomorrow, and maybe sometime late Tuesday. It could be early Wednesday. I think that we will see falls again, and they can be very, very sharp. Initially, I was thinking that Bitcoin would fall all the way to 21,000 points this week. I think that can be an intraday event. But for the end price, I think that we will not be that harsh, but still go below. So I will put a end target for Bitcoin this week for $27,000. But I would not be surprised if we see during the week, end of week, Bitcoin fall for a dip even down to the 20s, very low 20s. And DogeCoin is, of course, another very interesting crypto. And last week I said I believe Bitcoin would fall hard, while Bitcoin would do better. I was wrong. I thought Bitcoin would hold somewhere around 50 cents, but it ended Friday on 36 cents. So I was off. And looking at the chart of DogeCoin, well, it has some support below today's level compared to Bitcoin, which has none. So there is a fair chance that DogeCoin will turn upwards. Last week I was positive. I had my reasons why I believed DogeCoin would hold good. And now I think DogeCoin will move somewhere between, let's say, 23 cents and 45 cents for the week. Move a little bit up and down again. I think it will be a good start on the week. Then it will have this fallback. Trying to guess exactly where will it end. Well, I'm looking at the support levels. The support levels is really around 25 cents, and that's where I believe DogeCoin will be a very good short-term investment. So I will simply put that as a target, 25 cents for DogeCoin this week. Again, good start for both Bitcoin and DogeCoin and all other cryptos in the week. And then we will start to see a new downfall. I hope I'm wrong. It is just my qualified guessing. And at some point, the crypto is going to be a good buying opportunity. Please remember that as well. And the point is trying to time where should you put in the money to get some of the goods. I tried personally to buy on the extreme dip last week. Was not able because all the trading platform crashed. It was impossible to put an order, but I managed to do a few trades during the weekend, which is very green right now. But personally, I will think of it as a dip flip, and I bought on the dip with the intention of selling on the natural reaction up and try pick on second dip. That brings us to the very end of this portfolio on this podcast, and we will talk about my portfolio very quickly, which we have been following since Christmas. Again, for new listeners, I will have to tell that I have several portfolios. But in this podcast, we follow what I would call my high risk portfolio. It's the one that moves the most either up and down. Consists of too much high risk stocks and lots of penny stocks. But this is the thing that the common investor love, is that high risk. I kept my portfolio quite steadily over the last few weeks. In general, since Christmas started to reduce my total exposure in the market, I went down just above some 40% right now invested in market. I don't see any reason to increase. Actually, I see only reasons to reduce my total exposure, but I still think there are some good choices out there that will do good. Diffusion Pharmaceuticals ended the week at 69 cents, so it was up from the week before where it was 62 cents, and I think that we'll just see Diffusion continue upwards back to the $1 level, but right now there is nothing indicating that we will have this high jump to 5, which was my original target for a long time. Some of the reason why I love Diffusion Pharmaceuticals is because the product is about oxygen transport in the blood, and that is the one thing that the COVID patients really suffer from. But as we speak, more and more people get vaccinated. We see that the numbers drops in several countries, and Diffusion Pharmaceuticals doesn't manage to produce the news which I expected them to push. But I still believe it will do good and that the product eventually will be used also for COVID patients. In general, it's a good product to increase oxygen transport in the blood. So no matter what, I think it's the stock has high potential. But since Christmas, it's down 13%. It was up much more. I bought Diffusion way cheaper than that, but since we started following the portfolio in January. Abus had a good week, ending the week at 274. Ur Energy had a very good week, ending at 153, and is up 56% since we put it into the portfolio. I think Ur Energy will continue further up, but at the same time, I'm a little bit on the trigger because this is a typical stock that can go into overbought too fast and then have a drop, let's say, back to the 120-30 level. So I watch the stock closely. If it gets into this run, this overbought run, I will be trying to sell it at top. Will that be 182? I don't know. But in general, I like the stock. I like the product. I think it will just continue upwards. NEO has not really performed that well. It does very good up at the 40s, then it's back. Ending the week at $34.06. So not the best performer, but it's still a stock which I like to have in my portfolio. Velocity Energy, this pink stock, is just moving rapidly up and down, 70, 80, 90, 100% one day and down the same thing the other day. I think it was down 55% on, was it Wednesday or Thursday, just to climb the same thing up again on Friday. But it's traded at 6 cents, so it's really nothing. This is the one stock that will be closely related to how the markets do. It's very illiquid, and you shouldn't go into pink stocks unless you are able to lose the money and willing to lose the money, because price could go very fast down, but you can be in a position where you will not be able to sell because there is no buyers. Tencent Music is still not performing well. We know that also Buffett have bought into Tencent Music, so he shares my opinion that it's undervalued, fundamentally undervalued, and even by technical terms, it's undervalued. But we are waiting for it to do it. Ended the week at $15.13. So since it was taken into the portfolio, it's down 19.7%. So it's not been a very good investment so far. Last stock that also got into the portfolio is Sumerica. Sumerica ended at 88 cents last week, up some 10%, 5-10% since the week before. Sumerica is highly risky. It's one of these stocks that can go very good in extremely short time. or do bad. There is no very good reason why Zomedica should have this high price. Yes, it has lots of millions on book, 200 something million stored in the bank. But their product is hardly selling. It was only $14,000 or something last quarter. It's recently, Truforma is recently released into the market. So of course the sale was low, but there is nothing saying that this stock should be 88 cents. It could easily be 30 cents and still a little bit overvalued. But there is lots of institutional investors into Zomedica. And chart-wise, I think that we will see Zomedica get into some run, and I have a target trying to get out anywhere between 130, 150 on a bull run. Will it happen this week? Remains to see. For weeks, I haven't shared any really good stock tips, technical analysis tips. So we'll try to end this week's podcast with a few tips. I told you before this one saying, sell in May, go away. Let the trend be your friend. That's also one thing that you should keep in mind. If trends are broken, you will see this as trend lines in the chart. If these are broken, they usually signal a change. And one thing that you want to look at is changes in the volume when you have these breaks. So if, for instance, Apple, Microsoft, which I think will break the trend downwards, do this on increasing volume, it will just strengthen the signal. As I answered one user that sent us a help desk ticket, he wanted to understand how can he use our system at StockInvest in best possible way. And as I said, do not expect any algorithm or us to exactly give you the right answer. You can best use this and every other services simply to list you a lot of candidates. It simplifies the process of finding candidates based on different criteria. It could be that you want to find these Death Stars or these Golden Crosses. So go to our lists at StockInvest.us and you will find all companies that just have given a buy signal, for instance, from Golden Cross or Golden Star. The relation between these short and long-term moving averages, and that will give you a long list of candidates and you can select from this. And as I answered this one person, that your brain is brilliant. Your brain has a super ability to look and identify pattern. It's deeply programmed within us to help us survive. So get the lists of the different candidates and look at the charts and let your gut feeling help you decide which one you want to buy. Simply because your brain understands pattern. And when you see things visually, it's quite much easier than just read a Reddit comment saying buy GameStop, sell GameStop, or buy Zomedica, sell Zomedica, and something. See for yourself, see for the chart in this price line. Every possible idea, thoughts, hopes, belief of investor is combined. So the price line, looking at the price line, looking at the history, how it has it moved, trying to predict how it will move forward, will help your trading. Until then, just have a very good week. I hope that you will be able to reduce your losses, increase your gains, and we will speak again in a week.